Huh. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you're going to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Can I catch it? Nailed it. Grossi. And today we are going to be taking a look at the NFC South for some way too early predictions. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. We got Jono up in their $5 to a $10. Thank you. Then you got Flixen Gasfield Elobar Bremen. He's coming back. There he is again. And Cabes17. Thank you all very much. Also, we got some brand new YouTube members. We got Peyton DeTuits. I just did this to distract from the fact that I probably butchered that name. And Joe Von Tassel. A phenomenal name. Thank you all very much for your support. So 2 days ago, we took a look at the NFC North to see how that was gonna shake out. Tomorrow we'll do the NFC East, and then Monday we'll do what I would imagine is probably gonna be one of the best divisions in football, the NFC West. Then we'll talk about the AFC, but, you know. NFC is better. Don't at me, bro. Now, the NFC South is always a pickle. And to make things even more complicated, you got good old Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski coming back to the Buccaneers, and lots of people are like, oh, the Buccaneers are now going to be one of the best teams in football. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But you have the Panthers currently going through a rebuild, even though they have Christian McCaffrey. He can't play everything on offense. Can he? And then you have the Falcons. Dan Quinn is still around, and they looked real good to end the season last year. Are they going to actually do good the whole time now? Completely and totally up in the air. So the way that we'll do this is the same way we did the NFC North, in which we'll take a look at these teams. We'll look at some of their hardest games, and then we'll try to predict a record for them. So let's start off with the good old Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers going through changes. Yeah, Luke Kuechly retired, shockingly. Cam Newton, no longer on the team. They bring in Teddy Bridgewater. They got a new head coach. And so, a lot of changes going on in Pantherville. They obviously spent a lot of draft capital on defense because they were just like, you can't have too many defenders. Though I will say, linebacker is probably still going to be a big hole. For me, the Panthers, I feel like it's going to be tough to compete. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a great quarterback, and I think that he will do well. He'll do a whole lot better than what they had last year. Looking at you, Kyle Allen. So let's take a look at some of the toughest games. They're going to have 2 games against the Saints, which I think I would not be shocked if they get swept by them. The Buccaneers, there's a good chance that they get swept by them. So that's 4 games right there. I think they'll split with the Falcons. They'll lose to the Chiefs. The Vikings, the Packers, and the Broncos are also going to be very difficult games for them. Honestly, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is just a stud, and he can kind of keep them in any game because he's like, listen, I'll catch the ball, I'll run the ball, I'll do whatever the hell you want me to do. You want me to throw it? I'll do it. But I think it's going to take at least another year or so for the Panthers to get back into fighting shape. I see them having around like an 8-8, maybe a 9-7 ceiling if they're able to steal one from the Buccaneers. Or beat a team like the Packers or the Broncos. But honestly, I think they're going to be around a 7-9 record, and that might be very nice, but I think the Panthers will still be a somewhat competitive team, but yeah, they don't have the easiest of schedules this year. Then you got the biggest question mark, I would argue, in the entire division, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah. Atlanta Falcons, they haven't been the same since 2016, since the incident. And the Falcons, they have incredibly talented player. They just re-signed Julio Jones this past September to a mega deal, so locking up their wide receiver 1. Matt Ryan is a good quarterback too, but the lack of the running game, and on top of that, their defense has just been bleh to speak of. So for the Falcons, they added Todd Gurley, which is risky. Obviously, Todd Gurley getting released from the LA Rams. And, listen, I love Todd Gurley, and I think he's an excellent player. The question becomes about his health. And I don't know if Todd Gurley is going to be a long-term fix for the Falcons' run game. But if he is, and he's able to stay healthy and that knee is able to hold up, the Falcons could surprise a lot of people this year. They're another one, though, that do not have an easy schedule. So they got to play the Seahawks, which I can see them dropping to. I can see them losing to the Cowboys. The Packers is going to be a tough game. Vikings, Chiefs. Then you have the Saints, which would be 7 games. And then you have the Buccaneers if they split with them 8-8. Now, on top of that, you have the Broncos, who I think will be good. All the other games, I think they're going to be winnable. But for me, if they're able to sneak one out against one of these teams, they're another one, maybe 9-7, but they look like an 8-8 team for me just based off of their schedule. I feel like the Falcons just got screwed with a really, really tough schedule, but Dan Quinn might just be like, all right, guys, we're going to finally turn this ship around. No, I mean it this time, really. But for me, I see them finishing in 3rd place. And then you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who a lot of people are already like, here you go, here's the Lombardi. But then Bill Belichick is going to come ziplining down the pirate ship and say, not so fast, and snatch the Lombardi out of his hand and make his great escape, with Jared Stidham is going to be driving a golf cart away. That's the stuff I think about on a daily basis. Now, the Buccaneers are another one who do not have the easiest of schedules, but I think they will be in significantly better shape. The thing that worries me the most about the Buccaneers, Jameis Winston got sacked like 50 times last year. Not all the offensive line's fault, but they addressed that in the draft. The biggest thing for me is that passing defense, which was rough. It was yikes. Their run defense, chef's kiss, but that passing D, that's where there's some issues for me. Obviously, with a healthy Devin White, they should be better. But for me, the hardest games that they're going to be playing are against the Saints. I say maybe they split with them. The Packers are going to be difficult, the Chiefs and the Vikings. Then they could always split with the Falcons, and then maybe even a team like the Broncos. I think they're in a decent shape to go around 11-5. I would not be shocked to see them make the playoffs, either as a 5th or 6th seed or that now brand new 7th seed. But honestly, it's going to come down to see how that offense performs. They're in a division where if their pass defense is not up to par, they got to go against Drew Brees twice, and they got to go against Matt Ryan twice. That's not going to be an easy task. I think they could be up for the challenge, especially a team like against the Vikings. They may be able to take one because if they're able to stop Dalvin Cook, they just have to rely on Kirk Cousins to win them the game, which, that doesn't happen too often. But yeah, those high-powered offenses who have those really good passing games, those I think could be the Achilles heel for the Buccaneers. And listen, Tom Brady's getting up there. I don't know if he's going to be able to get into a whole lot of shootouts anymore, but I think they'll still do enough and probably finish in around 2nd place. Then, of course, you got the New Orleans Saints, which no controversy there. Everyone's really happy with Drew Brees. Their big addition during the offseason was, of course, Emmanuel Sanders, which gives Drew Brees another person to throw the ball to. I think Kamara is most likely going to have another great season. Their games, they probably will split with the Bucs. They have the Packers to deal with, the 49ers, the Chiefs, and the Vikings. So those are all difficult games for them to win. If they wind up also splitting one with the Falcons, they may take one from them as well, and who knows, maybe even the Panthers. Those divisional games can go either way. But for me, I would feel more confident saying that this team is probably going to go around 12-4 or 11-5. I think that they can beat the Vikings, I know, or they can beat the Packers, or maybe even sweep the Bucs. So I think that this team, for me, has the people in place to go further than the Buccaneers. But is Drew Brees going to regress this year? Or is Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill going to tag team their way to the top, overthrowing Drew Brees? And they'll have everything. Taysom Hill doesn't throw the ball, but he runs real fast, and Jameis Winston just throws the ball. They're the perfect duo. So looking at this, I see the Saints finishing first, followed by the Buccaneers, the Falcons, and then the Panthers. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think the Panthers or the Falcons are going to overachieve? Am I sleeping on the Falcons? Or do you think the Buccaneers are going to wind up finishing first and the Saints are actually going to regress? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course the YouTubes. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. We'll be streaming tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, so I hope to see your tushies there. That sounded weird. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.